everybody, welcome to the Thursday show. My name is Paul Murphy, your host on the Frontline Gaming Network. I'm joined by Alan Pajama Pants. Welcome back, my man.
What's up?
And Adam Camilleri.
Hello, everybody. And yeah, I want to also welcome the baby daddy himself, Mr. Alan PJ Pants. How is fatherhood treating you, my man?
I'm good. I'm not used to these TVs yet. I'm coming back. I'm trapped in here trying to figure out how to get out.
We have limped along with some folks kindly stepping in to give us a hand these last couple of weeks, but we're very glad to have you back. Thanks for everybody joining us live. Thanks for everybody listening later on. Let's hear some chatter in the chat. What we're going to do is talk about some tournaments coming up on the weekend. We do that each and every week, and so if you like what you hear, think about subscribing and coming back. We're going to be talking about Charity Hammer, which is an amazing event, already raising tons of cash for worthy causes, and into the Hellstorm out of the UK this week. I'm really looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, two pretty cool events. The Charity Hammer event, for those who don't know, is it's a 3-day Warhammer extravaganza with some of the best players in North America and Canada conglomerate together in a bit of density. It is an invitational, but there is it costs 3 days, a 3-day single elimination GT that happens and pretty much crowns the king of Charity Hammer that year. And man, it is a stacked event. Once we get into it, you will see this thing is an absolute Shark Tank, murderous, whatever you want to call it.
Definitely. Murderer's row of folks, but it's for a good cause, and it's neat to have buddies coming up playing for these things and raising money, and we'll talk about the cause in just a bit. But this is neat. They do it. They've done it now for what is this second or third year?
Number 3, yeah. They did a mini one during COVID, just a local one, but they're trying to raise money once again. But yeah, they couldn't, naturally, because of all the lockdowns and the borders, they couldn't get that super crazy density that we've come to expect.
A lot of these games will be streamed throughout the weekend, and so if you're curious to see who's playing who and how some of the stuff shakes out that we're talking about, you can probably catch one of those games.
We can catch a lot of those games. So firstly, they're all streaming live over on Twitch, Biff Pod, Can Hammer, Frontline Gaming streaming as well as Art of War, all going to be live streaming different tables, different games, and a lot of really quirky games. Like they've got a little RTT going with 4 Orc players, just playing up to see who's the biggest war boss for the event. I think that's really cool. They've got the tallest guy at the event versus the shortest guy at the event. So I think that's Thomas Bird playing Ultras versus Chester playing Drakari, which I think is just hilarious to do that kind of stuff. And it should actually be quite a good game on top. So, but the GT starts tomorrow, and starting from, I think it's 9 a.m. Pacific is our first game, and that's just literally going to be single elim all the way down to the finalists playing off in the last game. I think it's happening on the Sunday for you guys, but I don't have those times. Please go over to charityhammer.com. You'll find it up on whatever. Just Google Charity Hammer. You'll find it there. Jump on, find the schedule, and tune in where you feel like tuning in, guys.
Yeah, it's awesome, and the fact that they're raising so much money for charity is amazing too. Paul, how you mentioned that they already reached a certain amount, and it hasn't even started.
Yeah, I think we got that in the pre-show. I think something like $14,000-$15,000 already been raised. That is impressive. It shows the generosity of the people, shows the goodwill of the folks, and I really love seeing our community as a whole come together for things like this. This is one of the things that happens during the year, where people do contribute to something like this that are going to showing the community spirit, rallying around these types of things, and still celebrating our hobby. Really proud to see it happening. Really glad to talk about it.
Yeah, me too. I think it brings a lot to when we speak about the maturity of our community, that we can do things like this. We can put on altruistic events, for the enjoyment of the players, but to the benefit of the people in the community. And I think this is a great indictment of where our community is at, that we can put things on like this. Hell, 3 years in a row. A great indictment for the Biff Pod crew. Well done to them.
And the stakes for this event aren't very high. People are obviously going to be having fun with their playing. But we're highlighting it because we know them, and this is for a great cause. Let's talk about
pretty competitive people, though, Paul.
Yeah. There's definitely some bragging rights and some pride involved in this. Like I completely admit that.
The lists are freaking savage, which is kind of like it's got 4 of the top 10 in attendance, and they're all bringing utter savagery. So we have to talk about it.
Yeah, but what do they got? What do we have in there?
So quick and dirty stats first up. So it's a 32-player invitational, single elimination. We got only 2 AdMech, 2 Hive Mind, 6 Orcs, 5 Marines, 2 Sisters, 4 Chaos, 1 Custodes, 1 Necron. What's interesting there is only 2 AdMech. I think they've done a little bit of self-regulation there, because I know a whole one of them were going to take Admech, and then it was just going to be an Admech on Admech Snorefest. So instead, a bunch took Orcs and a bunch took Drukhari. And it's really interesting. So only 2 Admech, but 5 Drukhari, 6 Orcs, for only 5 Marines as well. So there's less Marines than Orcs and only same Marines as Drukhari, which we haven't seen yet. Usually it's like double, triple anything else is what Marines have as a conglomerate as a whole. What do you guys think of those stats?
Well, when you're going to be doing some streaming and you want to kind of curate the list you see, and everyone knows, this is not summoning what they're bringing. You might see a little of that at this event. That's why I said, we're not really analyzing this for the competitive side of it, but more of just the just seeing getting a window into the mind of some of these players. But with all that said, I think we're going to see fewer AdMech appear in saturation because people are going to be taken against it. I think in this case, we probably have a few less AdMech, and they switch to playing Orcs because they're fun. But I think at tournaments, we're going to see these Drukhari and Sisters start to bubble back up.
Yeah, I'm super excited that Orcs did not get the same codex that AdMech did, and I'm very happy for it, because look at the representation of Orcs now versus AdMech, and the overall opinions about AdMech players and AdMech play, and how it's crazy advanced and how it's too much. I like that Orcs are competitive, secretly competitive, I would even say, and most likely not going to be the next thing everybody chases, and probably not going to get super nerfed. So I'm really happy about all of that. I hope they actually get a buff. I'd love to see DACA weapons become, assault plus the DACA rule. That'd be really nice.
Well, a lot of people are speculating. We got the we've seen the pattern so far. We got the Drukhari book, then we got a supplement buffing a portion of Drukhari. We got the Sisters book, something buffing that Admech book, same again. So we got the Octaria supplements coming out, the whatever campaign you want to call it, and people are assuming that's going to have some Orc goodness in there. And there are some obvious omissions from this Orc codex. Like there's very little Horde support, there's very little Green Tide-esque support. And I'm of the opinion that's where it's going to be. There's going to be like a Goth specialist attachment in there, and it's going to be, hey, here's how you take your 100 boys, slap them into a super unit, or here's how you take 100 boys with some morale manipulation or whatnot. Because that's really the glaring omissions from that codex.
Well, look, speculation aside, I think the codex has some legs of its own, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people do with it. And this is in a tournament like this with all these known folks, there might be elements of their list, even if the little Easter eggs or whatever, little things you could take away and build some archetypes out of.
Yeah, look, Orcs still have a lot going for them, and they're very well poised into the current missions, into the current meta. Their MSU, they can really do some trading up. They have a buckload of attacks. You talk about the reasons why Repentia are good. Orcs can operate on the same metrics. They still get die to a stiff breeze, same as Repentia do, but they still go in there and get the work done before they pop. And so if you're working at them like that, you can still get a lot of mileage done. And there's some crazy good units, some sneaky units there. DACA jets are phenomenal. Def Copters are off their guts. Commandos are just ridiculous value. They're only 1 point more than a boy. 1 point more, guys, and they get like 3 premium special rules on top of what a boy does. I think they're phenomenal.
That is. So what about 2 Hive Mind list and 4 Chaos? Alan, that's got to get you jazzed.
I can't be more excited about the Chaos. I've missed the Noise Marines. I've missed talking about them. I'm glad to be back today to just make sure I go through some Chaos stuff.
That's why I wanted to roll out that invitation to talk about the Chaos and mention Noise Marines before we got too deep into this.
Well, we're going to mention them a few more times.
For sure. And it's some interesting people who are not playing Chaos. Like Mark Perry's at this event. He's playing Orcs. That is a Chaos player. He's a Chaos and Orc player, but he's a Chaos and Orc player. Well, Chaos big, Orc small.
He is an aggressive player. So, and I mean that aggressive play style. He is. He loves to push models across the table into your face, and Orcs, they do it just as well, if not are better than a lot of armies, but certainly just as well.
Mark Perry's the best friend I never met. He's running Noise Marines. He's got all the Chaos stuff going on. He's playing the Orcs. He looks kind of like an Orc, as much as a human being could. And I hope he does really well. I hope he has fun too, which is most important.
He's a pleasure to play against. The several times I've been able to play against, he's in my region and things. It's always a pleasurable game. But I sometimes I look at his list, and I know lists. Sometimes I look at it, I'm like, okay,
yeah.
But I love it because he always has success, and so that's what's going to be fun to watch and see how it plays out in these events.
Well, I didn't actually put it on the run sheet, but there is one Chaos list that we should talk about from this event, because this is essentially a first press live in the wild Be'lakor list, and I think this might be something Alan and you guys might want to talk about.
Ooh.
So this list comes from Zachary Nelson. I'll quickly run down what's in there. So Disciples of Be'lakor, already said that. Single battalion detachment, that's the whole list, which I think is somewhere where you can get a lot of power here for Chaos players, because they still have a hell of a lot of power in their stratagem section, but you got to dilute it down a lot with how many CP you start with, because you got to take at least 2 detachments to get a swathe of good options. Starts off with Be'lakor on the HQ choice, as he must. Then he's got the Contorted Epitome and a Changecaster. In his elite, he has 2 units of Beasts of Nurgle, an 8-man and a 6-man, 1 unit of 10 Cultists, 1 unit of 10 Brimstone Horrors, 1 unit of 23 Bloodletters. Then he has 5 Chaos Spawn, 5 Chaos Spawn, and 3 Obliterators. And that's the entire list.
23 Bloodletters?
Yes, 23. 22 and a sergeant with an icon, instrument, and a banner of blood. That might just be the hot. That's why he's like, okay, I crunched the math. That's how much it takes to guarantee kill 5, intercessors, blade guard, whatever. And he's just zeroed.
Well, you had or you need 8 points left to spend. Yeah.
Or no, he needs a couple extra. So after Overwatch, he's still at 20. So he gets
still at 20. Yeah, spot on, brother. Spot on.
Well, that's it. It's like, what section of the board can I wall off? How can I deep strike? What's my footprint or whatever? That's the level of play that comes into some of these things. And maybe 23 is that. And 23, very important number to the universe, if I remember.
He might be a big fan of Michael Jordan. We have no idea.
But what do you guys think about that? Because he's taking a lot of durable elements. He's got 2 units of beast, 2 units of spawn. He's trying to double down on just surviving on stuff, and then having little surgical stuff like the double shooting obliterators, like the bloodletter bomb, and like stuff like the Epitome and Be'lakor to kind of, of course the Epitome is going to lock you in with Beasts of Nurgle, so they stay there long enough to churn through you with their decent but not great attacks because of lack of rend. But then he's got stuff like, Changecaster for a couple of smites, plus the Contorted Epitome, plus Be'lakor can do some mortal wounds, but it's really only 1 shooting element in this entire list, and that's what gives me a little bit of pause in some of the matchups that can, it gives me pause versus Admech. He has good defensive profiles versus Admech, but I just don't know how he clears quickly.
He can deep strike, with things that are important, and I think what he's counting on is that Be'lakor is going to be that distraction Carnifex. Is that everyone's going to shoot at Be'lakor, one because he's gorgeous, and you have to. You can't let him just run around the table and do things. You give it stop that Be'lakor. But what that's doing is giving a time for these other units to choke the field, and then right when you've exposed yourself to move to get everything in position to get targets on Be'lakor, biggity bam, comes down with some obliterators and starts wrecking shop.
Exactly, or he can start the obliterators on the table and use the power to keep them untargetable. Just walk them up, double shoot them from right from the off, which I think is a really good way of doing it, especially killing stuff off they're kind of the perfect profile to kill stuff like Cerberus Raiders. All you need to do is just vets them and they're wounding them on 2s, with, about 6 shots each. Technically, you only need one obliterator to kill, a unit of 3 Cerberus Raiders pretty efficiently. And on top of that, it gives good mileage for Be'lakor's full rerolls for his Warlord trait, because he's got a Chapter Master Warlord trait.
Going 1 battalion, though, he's got enough CP to get fancy in the early rounds of the game, and that's what I would advise in that situation. Well, depending on what you're playing against, right? Because those are some of the things. There's a lot of things we cannot choose in the beginning of the game anymore, but how you spend your some of your CP in deployment, you can.
Well, this is what people are saying, and probably Alec can speak to this better. What people are getting excited about Be'lakor is that no actual thing in the game gives you access to the same depth and density of stratagems as Disciples of Be'lakor does. And probably Alec can speak to that better. How many pages of stratagems does this book have open to it?
It's quite a bit. I mean, Disciples of Be'lakor are a lot of stratagems, but I don't know. I feel about as confident in that army as a tarot card reading at 4:30 in the morning after a long bender. So I don't know if I really put my eggs in that basket, but I mean, if you want to play Be'lakor, I can't really get too much behind the list. I think, Adam, you pointed out a lot of really good, gaps in the list and the approach and the inefficiency or the things that he's lacking. I know Paul is being very optimistic in the sense of, extra CP and being able to play around some of that. But if I was playing Be'lakor, honestly, I'd be having fun. I'd have a Bloodthirster, a Great Unclean One, a Lord of Change, and a Keeper of Secrets, and Be'lakor, run all 5 and have a merry, merry day.
Unfortunately, I don't think those things can join the Army of Renown. So
you could just play a regular army and just take all 5 of them. And you don't need that army. I mean, that's what I would do. If you're going to go have fun, let's have fun the right way. All monsters.
So jumping into some of the luminaries of the scene attending this event, we have, like I said, 4 of the top 10 in the ITC attending. We have John Lennon, who's first, playing Sisters, exactly the same list he played at Lone Star Open. He's just sticking with the good thing.
Proven.
It's going to be exactly, but the thing is, it's not proven against the Orc Codex, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes through that pile of interesting interactions. He's got Brad Chester in 4th place playing Drakari, Nick Nartavati 9th place playing Drakari, and, you know, sticking on theme, Anthony Vanella ranked 10th playing Drakari. So, like, John's like a lone island sitting at the top of the pile, not playing Drakari. Obviously, he knows something I think these other 3 gentlemen don't, and that his sisters are quite good into Drakari now. But yeah, I want to know how this guy's doing to Orcs. They've got 6 Orc players here.
Well, was there any tech? Do you have access to their list that you can see? Was there any teching in their Drakari? Because the Drakari have depth. I mean, as we saw more Shredders come in. Shredders work seeming like it'd be a good weapon against Orcs as well.
Absolutely. So we went over Brad Chester's list for Frogtown last weekend, and he's taken essentially the same list. And Nick Nanavati's is a very interesting list, very rack based. But I pulled out Anthony Vanella's list in 10th place because he's a gentleman whose list we haven't really looked over yet, and I thought we'd give him some eyeballs.
Yeah, let's do it.
Starts off with a Dark Tectomancer's Patrol, has Drazar, a unit of Rax, 2 units of 3 Chronos, which I think is still where you want to be if you're playing Dark Tectomancers. Then he's got another patrol. This one is Cult of Strife. It has a Succubus, a unit of 9 Hecatric Blood Brides with a Shardnet Impaler. Sorry, it must be a 10-man. It's got a Shardnet Impaler. 5 Incubi, a unit of Hellions. This looks like it's a 10-man. Then he's got another patrol. This one is... I've accidentally deleted this, so it must be... Never mind, I'll just run it down. It has an Archon, has a unit of Trueborn with what you'd expect, 2 Blasters and the Dark Lance. Then he has another unit of Incubi. This one's a big one. This is a 9-man unit of Incubi, which we don't see all that often. Then he's got another 5-man unit of Incubi. So that's 3, 2 5s, and a 9. Then he's got a unit of Scourges with, like you said, Paul, it's got a Shredder unit in there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 Dark Lance Raiders. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say this is either... Poison Tongue or Black Heart, but I'll go and double check why you guys take some.
Is that you think that 9-man though is to give some consideration of transport capacity maybe, or is that just you think it's a points choice?
What do you think, Alan?
Oh, sorry. I was going to tell you it was a Black Heart, most likely.
It is a Black Heart. So the 9-man's really interesting, and I think that's a concession to things in the wider meta. So things with a huge wound density that 5 can't just go straight through. And if I had to guess, I think that's for 20. It's going into 20 Skitari. It's a unit that will just pick up 20 in combat in one go because the 5-mans won't do it. And if you're playing into the veteran cohort, which we're going to talk about a list that is 5 Incubi that go into a veteran cohort and kill like 11 of them, they could just die on the return attacks when they've got 3 attacks each from the veteran cohort unit. And so you really want to go in and kill them all in one bite. Same as Necron Warriors. You want to go in, kill the whole thing in one bite. And I think that's why that unit's there.
I would agree 100%. I mean, they're in the Raider. They're trying to deliver that unit and do the maximum damage they can upon entry. And the Shredders, actually, I don't think they're really great against Orcs because I don't foresee them doing very much against the Orc army. But I do think they're good against Mechanicum. Yeah, I think they're great against Sisters. I think they're good against other Dark Eldar. So I think they're good in those matchups.
Why don't you think it's the Orcs? Do you think the Orcs just maybe aren't taking fat units?
Yeah, in our brain, Paul, me and you, when we think Orcs, we think these big blocks of 30 boys, and we think a lot of guys on foot, and that's no longer Orcs. Anybody playing boys is you're in the past. It's not a list anymore, really. I don't anticipate to see those be very competitive. I think Orcs will move into more of an MSU approach, and you'll see a lot of vehicles, a lot of units that are trying to take board control, like Commandos or Storm Boys coming in from Zerv, and they're all min units just doing MSU type of stuff. That's probably going to be the future.
Yeah, I'm exactly right. I'm seeing one large unit of Orcs being thrown around here and there by some big Orc players. Some people talking about one unit of 30 boys to just go ham turn one, try and pick up, because they can trade up. They can pick up 60 Skitari if they connect right. Got 30 Goth boys, just go crazy. But the one I'm hearing talk about most is 20 Beast Snaggers. And for the similar reasons, it's smaller, you can hide it better, has that better strength than the regular boys, still has that toughness bonus as well, a little bit better in combat, and way better stratagem support. Many better stratagems.
I could see the Beast Snagga boy unit. The boys, there's just no delivery pattern. So even with Goth boys, like the jump is now a 7. You have to roll a 7. There's no way around it. There's no pluses. There's no changes.
7's a tall order in today's psychic world.
Yeah, and really, it's only going to be good on turn 1. And then after that, you're like, meh. Do I really need to
call it? I can just call a WAR. I can
just call a WAG. I'm mid-board.
Yeah.
If they're alive, even. But Snaggle is hiding in a ruin, jumping out and getting something and tar pitting it with the strat. That is very interesting because they can hold things in combat. So not a bad unit of 20 for sure.
Yeah. So back to this list, boys. So what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing one unit of Treeborn with the two blasts and the Dark Lance. The concession for the chickens is what I'm seeing there. I'm seeing the big unit of Incubi, the concession for the 20-man Admech blobs. I'm seeing the Scourges also for the Admech blobs. I'm seeing a unit of 10 Hellions, which is a harassment unit. Do you know what 10 Hellions do? They're very, very, very good at doing a flyby on a Skitarii Marshal and icing that boy. Same thing for the Blood Brides. Go into 20 guys. They don't kill them in one hit, but they don't die in return, and then they lock you down. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Admech concessions here, with the exception of the Chronos. I think the Chronos are the secret. I
was just pulling them up. 7 wounds, toughness 6, 3+ save, with some upside.
That's my anti-orc unit. If you're a Drukhari player, that's the anti-orc unit. There's no real orc unit that can charge that and think they're going to make it with enough strength to hurt the toughness 7 chassis once they get through the Overwatch. They're actually kind of savage in that matchup. I think they're really good.
Do the Chronos have any other kind of? No, they don't. The Spirit Probe.
Yeah, so they got the Flamers inbuilt, which still get the Dark Technomancer's bonus, and then they got their Strength 5 Blast, I believe, and so the +1 to wound and gives over the Strength 5 limitations versus the Toughness 5 on the Orcs, and then they actually don't have an insignificant amount of attacks when you get into combat. They're not great, but they're not a tiny drop in the ocean. And I think when I look at this, I think this is a really well constructed list. A lot of thought's gone into it, and it's really taking the best of. It's actually just taking the best of everything. One of the best of everything, with exception of the Chronos having 2 units there. What do you think, Alan?
I agree. Yeah, I think it's a very well thought out, very well fleshed out army. Obviously we wouldn't have seen this back in the day when Dark Eldar was just how many flamers can I fit in my army. But post FAQ, in a balanced codex, I think this is a really good approach. And honestly, the best thing is that it's kind of easy for people a little bit right now until orcs kind of get going. What's good against Admech is good against Sisters. So you're kind of in the same ballpark with those two. And, you're seeing flying vehicles in both. You're not seeing too many, but you're seeing some, in both lists. You're seeing a lot of troops out and about in both lists. You obviously, the interaction is a little bit different, with one being more about closing the distance and the other one more about being shooting. But overall, the approach that you're taking, anything you have that's good against one is good against the other. And we'll see what happens with Orcs. Orcs is going to be interesting. But I think this list is definitely tooled for Admech and for Drukhari. I don't think that Anthony is really thinking about Orcs right now, but I think those two, he has a game plan for him.
Yeah, spot on. Another one, the fact that he's diversified so far makes him quite good in the mirror match. He hasn't watered himself down and letting one person of his army get isolated in the mirror match and just taken out. I actually really like the big unit of Incubi in the mirror match. I think it's quite saucy.
He's a true toolbox in the mirror match, right? So he can figure out exactly how he wants to do that work. But yeah, I think it's really good.
Beautiful. We have another list to talk about here. This one is the one I'm dreading. This is the list I've been waiting to see, waiting for it to rock up. I've been thinking, how many more weeks do we get before we have a true veteran cohort build-around list? And this list is being taken by Danny McDevitt from the Frontline Gaming Network. And it is a list of utter savagery.
So this is going out of the Book of Fire that has the upgraded Skitarii in it.
Yeah. And he's gone deep into that rabbit hole. So he starts off with a battalion. It is of Styges. It's a Styges battalion, guys. Already off the beaten track. But this
Styges are not bad. You can.
It's got.
Sorry, Adam, you cut out for a second.
Dude,
Styges
are phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean they're a close second. They when you're looking just pound for pound power at Lucius versus Styges, Lucius is a little bit easier to play. It has that overt advantage. There's nothing covert about it, and Styges is just one hair behind it. And so, let's hear the list.
Agreed. And yeah, this thing is insane. So it's got unit of 19 Skitarii, unit of 19 Rangers, unit of 19 Vanguard, 9 infiltrators, 10 Rust Stalkers, 2 Iron Strider Ballistari with las cannons, 2 more with las cannons, and a single unit of Cerberus Raiders. And do you want to know how this works? This works. I'm playing Styges, and I'm going to infiltrate up my infiltrators. Turn 1, just going to deploy them on the line 9 inches away. If I go first, you lose. If I go second, I spend some CP, and I deploy them back with Styges. It is terrifying what this thing can do to you. Alan, you got any hot takes?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I also love the fact that whenever you move your hands, it actually causes bandwidth limitations, and that's where your camera starts to bug out. So, like, you have a tendency to speak like an Italian, so you're always like this for some reason in
Yeah, I do.
Australia. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what's going on. So it's pretty hilarious, by the way. I'm just
Okay,
laughing.
all right. Hands are staying flat on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the fast motions. You know, Adam, your hands are the only thing faster than your mouth.
Too
But
animated.
the list is what can I say? I mean, it's broken. It needs to be fixed. It's the worst. I don't know how it got past playtesting. You're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. If it goes first, I don't know what beats it unless you have Nurglings or Commandos or something that is creating some buffer space. And even then, you need like serious terrain or a very, very, very good army that has 999 points in reserves and the other 1,001 on the table, and all your points in reserves are really what does your damage, I guess.
How do you take the guts out of this list? You know, if you take out the characters some way, if you pack a bunch. And look, I actually got asked recently, should I be taking eliminators? And I told him I don't think eliminators are the best choice right now. I think you need to be focusing on things that can take out things like the Iron Striders, or things like Land Speeders, things that people will be taking to take out the Iron Striders. If you're not playing you're not playing one of these lists or whatever. So what do you think people can do to take the guts out of something like this to really impact them in turn 1 or 2 to where they cannot make as much war as they hope to do?
Okay, so there's a bunch of different sets of problems here that this army brings to you, and that's kind of the way people are seeing it as overwhelming. The first and foremost, everything in the entire army has a 5+ invulnerable save, every single thing. So the same problems that you have taking 4 and dealing with demons, you can apply somewhat here, to a different extent. But you also come into the limitations of this thing is light cover pretty much all game, if you want it to be, because of being Stygies and being far away. In addition to that, the rangers, the teched up rangers, have that as standard if they don't move, and blast doesn't work against the vanguard. So either take blast and kill all the rangers and go after the infiltrators with it and ignore the vanguard because it doesn't work there, or do the opposite. Target down the vanguard, target down the stuff that's going to be close to you, and don't worry about it. But I think people actually need to hone in on little bombs. And I'm talking about little bombs as in like 5-man units of Repentia, small things of Arco-Flages, 3-man units of Blade Guard, maybe. I don't even think they'll do it. Maybe it's 5-man units of Vanguard Vets, or 4-man units of Sangard. Little bombs that'll go in and trade up into these units of Infiltrators and Rust Stalkers, because they're going to be on your front door literally from turn 1. They'll be on your front door. So you need to be prepared. Otherwise, you're going to get swamped and absolutely destroyed. And the issue is you have to deploy so far back. You have to deploy so far back in your deployment zone to stop losing turn 1 that they just win the objective battle. Because once they get there, even if you get past the 30 Skitari going down your throat, you've got 80 infantry with cover everywhere and 5 up invulns on every objective by the time you get through the front ranks. I'm not sure if I have a great solution, but I can actually think of a couple of things that can do really well here. And one of them starts with N and ends with Ois, and Alan wants to talk about it.
Yeah. You need access to mortal wounds. So I mean, guys, okay, mortal wounds will kill the vanguard. You need mortal wounds to kill the vanguard, because that's key. They don't care about blast. They got saves. Mortal wounds get through all that nonsense. Then high volumes of damage to firepower that ignore cover are fantastic against everything else in the army. And then the Blastmasters are good against the vehicles. I don't know. Is this like what are you thinking, Adam? Is this a double Contemptor, double Decimator, 20 Noise Marine in a pod kind of army that needs to be hitting this?
I was actually considering so another thing I was considering is just like 5-man units of Zerkers with like a Feist Last applicator would be.
Oh yeah, that's 100%. If you have a Fights Last, then all those little you don't need all like tons of little bombs. You just need one giant commitment, and then everything Fights Last, and you kill everything. That would work too.
That's the other way I could think about doing it. But he's got 3. You got 3 of these, and you can expect there to be 3 of these bombs. And do you know what else is terrifying? Yeah, all the Rangers and Vanguard, especially the Vanguard, they give you -1 toughness and can have 3 attacks each, and so they can slap you too. Like, it's actually kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily want to get close to you, and you want to take the when you get there, you want to weaken them before that even really matters. Although that is a factor. It's really when you get to use that. Oh, sorry, you're neg 1 toughness, and so I am gonna just kind of punch you down with the breezy rifle butts.
Yeah, it's actually.
I'm not even looking at that, Adam, because I think you nailed it on the head earlier with the little bombs analogy. Because you're talking about what the Vanguard can do or what this can do. I don't even care. Like, the way I look at it is I need to be strategic and hit you first with everything I have. Everything I have has to hit you before you hit me. Trade up, and that's the only way you can win this. Because the moment I'm done hitting you, I'm dead. Whatever I put at you, it's dead right after it's done.
Yep.
So that's how I'm looking at it.
That's
why I like Core Berserkers, because you get 2 times the attacks.
Exactly, dude. Core Berserkers with a Fight Last applicator. Mwah. Love it. When they get to fight twice, or help, 3 CP, fight a 3rd time if you freaking gotta. Just do whatever you got to do to get the job done, and no bomb there when you're finished.
I'm just saying, Adam. I think we can fit a Noise Marine unit, 2 Contemptors, 2 Decimators, and some Khorne Berserkers all in an army.
Yeah, dude. One Rhino with 2 units of 5 Zerkers in it, and then a Fight Last applicator hanging around behind on like a bike or with a jump pack, and you got a lot of problems solved. The only issue I see here is that army still needs something on the front line that needs to cop the turn 1 to the teeth if you go second. And I don't know what that is, because
3 units of Nurglings.
3 units of 3 Nurglings. That's it, mate. Push them back with if you get to infiltrate first, push them back in the same motion. We got a super here. We're cooking, mate.
I was hoping y'all were just going to say Hurricane Bolters, because I'm eyeing up a Land Raider Crusader I'd like to play.
Do it. Do it. I mean, it's rough, but do it.
So the answer is not Hurricane Bolters is where we're going. Okay, I like y'all's answer better.
I'm also thinking about small units of Plasma Scepters. A unit of 3 Plasma Scepters. It's still 18 shots versus the Infiltrators and the Vanguard. So it's still 6 shots apiece versus the Rust Stalkers, because they're over 6 models, with the Wound them on 2s and the flat 2 damage. But it's just too many points for me to get behind.
It is not going to do it. You put a lot of faith in something that's going to get strength 3'd off the table. What else? So I know we spent a lot of time focusing on a couple of these lists. What else do we have here? And then we can jump over into the Hellstorm.
Well, that was pretty much all the ones I jumped down, but I think we owe it to the people to talk about an orc list. And I'm just going to pull one up at random. I'm sorry, we didn't have this in the show notes, so it's not going to be up on the screen, but we're going to go to Chuck Arnett's orc list. We're just going to run it down and give us some hot takes.
It's amazing. I love it.
Exactly. This is the one I love the most. Evil Sons Patrol, Death Killer Wartrike, 10 boys. And then he's got with their truck boys, by the way. If you don't know what truck boys are, I'll get one of the other gents to explain in a moment. 3 shock jump dragsters, 5 death copters, and then he goes into a Death Skulls outrider. This one has a Mega Armor War Boss who's actually just going to be unkillable. He's literally a boulder that is just going to roll into you. Then he has 2 units of 5 commandos, 3 single Rucker Truck Squig Buggies, 2 units of 5 Storm Boys, 2 trucks, a Snake Bites control with Mozrog, which is the big boy on the special character on the Squigosaur, another unit of 10 truck boys, and 2 units of 5 Squig Hog boys. You know what that sounds like to me? I get a smell of that. I'm like, this smells like a Drakari list. It just kept going and going and going with more stuff and more stuff and more stuff. I love this list a lot.
I love your philosophy of things, and this is something that's like, look, if you're going into a tournament outlisted, basically out-teched or whatever, just don't spend more than 150 points on any of your units.
On anything, yeah.
Just on anything. Like, just look at whatever you can get. Like, hey, this unit, I don't know if I love this unit, but it meets the criteria of being under 150 points and can do things on the table. So that's going in the list.
Why do you love this one, Alan?
Oh, I was just making a joke because you said we're going to talk about an orc list, and I said I loved it before I even knew it was in it. But it is good. Really? I do like it, yes. So the Squig Hog boys... Squig Hog boys, I'm not a fan of just because they're Cav and they can't go through walls. So I'm not a super fan of the Squig Hog boys.
Just go around them.
Yeah, they should have been beasts. They're a little slow. I think bikes might be actually better because they're faster.
I think bikes are very good as well and getting very underrated. But Squig Hogs they're only 25 points a model. They're just
agreed. They're just slow. That's my only problem with them is they're just slow. I can take things that are faster and can keep up with the rest of the army, which I think is really, really cool, especially since he's taking truck boys. He wants to have some real aggressive threats, and the Squig Hog boys are kind of like a little bit of a lacking threat, kind of. And in certain games with certain terrain placement, especially when it's player placed, your player can really kind of force you to move those that really will take away a lot of their movement. So I'm not a huge fan of those. But overall, the detachment's really nice. I like the special character. Mazrog is amazing. Comes back to life.
He's absurd.
He's broken.
Such good value.
I think the sneaky thing though is with relics, the regular Squigosaur on a beast is maybe better than him with some of the relics. You should look into it.
Yeah. So I only see him taken now, what the people have been talking about, when you just don't want to fork out any more CP. Because this thing is already 3 detachments. He's starting with 5 CP, and essentially Mozrog I think he's 20 points more than the other one, but he essentially comes with a Waller trait and a relic already, and so he comes as a package built, and you don't have to put out another 2 CP to give him a Waller trait and a relic.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that's the concession I'm seeing people make there. It's interesting. He's got the 3 tuners to truck boys, and then the truck boss, which I missed. Sorry, on the Mega Armor War.
Gotta have a truck boss.
Oh, absolutely. He's just going to drive that truck.
Yeah, especially with the field being what it is. That's I like that. Let's go into the Hellstorm. This is an event out of the UK.
It's being held in London, England by Mikey and the boys over at Hellstorm Wargaming. Check him out on YouTube as a nice little plug for you, Mikey.
Definitely friends of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Do some great work as well. There's some good, do some good commentary, do some good coverage. I'm hoping to do coverage of this one, and I can have it on a little side screen while I'm watching and commentating on Charity Hammer. Quick and dirty stats here. It's 46 players, if we didn't mention before. 5 Admech, 3 Dracari Crons, 3 Death Guard, a single Orc, which tells you they're probably not playing with new codex, and I can pretty much tell you they're not. 0 Custodes, 1 Knight, 5 Chaos, 3 of those Demon, 1 CSM, 1 Mixed, 3 Guard, which is actually kind of interesting, 2 Nids, 14 Total Marines. The breakdown therein: 1 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 2 White Scars, 2 BA, 3 Ultras. Decent representation of Space Wolves for the first time in a while, and
that's 3 more Guard than we've seen,
and that's 3 more Guard than we've seen in a while too. So it's some interesting stuff here. What do you guys think?
I think it's a good mix. Really good mix. I wish they weren't playing orcs though.
This is what we've seen. This top 5 list or whatever is what we've seen. Quantity of lists is what we've seen kind of play out with variations of slightly a bit across the scene. So if you're going into tournaments, I think we've looked at enough of these to know this is what you're going against.
Yep. Absolutely right.
I think we can expect to see an uptick though with orcs, an uptick with probably sisters even still. I think those models are beautiful. I think people will shell out the money for them. I don't know about
Sisters
Admech.
Didn't go away. Sisters only took a backseat while people some of those Sisters players jumped over to Admech. But now everyone's learning that Sisters have all the tools, everything that you need to tech against anything that's going to come up. Is what it feels like to me.
St. John has shown them the way.
That's right. There was only so many Morven Vials to go around, guys. There was only so many people on the shelf, and people still got to catch up there. But this is still seeing. So this is Admech as the most dominant and most numerally. There's more Admech here than everything else.
Adam, hang on 1 second. I got to tell you something.
What?
Admech are pretty good.
Did you know?
No way.
Really?
We're gonna see them.
But that's what I mean. But we're still seeing Admech as the most, and we're seeing that's a decline in Dracari, guys. Usually it's in the last couple of events, barring a few outliers, Dracari's been the most, with Admech sitting just under and Sisters a little bit under that. I think that's probably been the tail for the last month, maybe 6 weeks. But Admech has slowly been taking up, and now Admech is like 2 more than Dracari, almost 50% more than Dracari, to over twice as many as Sisters, and more than everybody else. Barring like the whole Chaos Super faction only has 5 lists, whereas Admech has 5 lists. And that's kind of what we're going to see. Interesting seeing 0 Custodes, and I think we could talk about that a little bit. Maybe that's just the meta of these. No,
gentlemen. In the UK list tournaments we normally see a couple of Custodes in there.
Usually you do, usually you do, which is interesting. So the Space Marine breakdown is quite interesting to me. This is the first time I've seen more Space Wolves than anything else. Space Wolves are equal with Ultramarines. Usually it's Dark Angels, White Scars, and Ultras are the top 3. Usually I see for the faction breakdown for the Space Marines. But Space Wolves being the most, I think people are starting to realize there's actually some great tech in Space Wolves that has gone by the wayside for a lot of reasons. But Alan, you got any insights into why the Wolves might be showing a little bit more?
I think they have a lot of really cool, skill-based tricks. And the interactions they have with heroic intervention, the interactions they have with, some of their special abilities with the sagas, I think they just appeal to more people. I think they're probably a little bit more fun there than the boring old Blood Angels.
Well, I love what you said. Well, hey, I don't love that. You tricked me.
He got it in there, man. He got that little shiv in there.
Tricked me.
Snip it. Clip
Guard
it.
was down. Guard was down. Shiv in the rib. Got it between the ribs.
Oh, I feel so bad right now.
Stuck it right in there.
Oh, you're savage.
But what you said about heroic intervention was brilliant. The next thing you said was dumb. But heroic intervention, is that something that's going to what they feel maybe giving them a play against some of these tricksy AdMech stuff?
Mate, 110%. And Alan's spot on that. No 5-man unit of Storm Boys can walk up and take your objective away. And just be like, oh, toe in, objective's mine. Oh, sorry, brother. This chaplain you thought was just here buffing guys. 6 heroic intervention, you're dead.
Yeah. This guy in Terminator armor runs over there and just mauls.
Just yeets, he fly kicks.
They have a little bit more of fight last than any other Space Marine army as well. So they can dish out a pretty good fight last army with a pretty good rebuttal in close combat, and with heroic intervention in that mix. I mean, it's just a really good soup of amazingness there. It's
technically mortal wound generation. I mean, you mentioned mortal wound generators, and Space Wolves can do that too.
Yes, they can.
They don't have a bad psyche tree by conventional, like, modern standards. Actually, quite good. But I've got 2 lists for us to talk about today, and these 2 I've just plucked out from obscurity because I want to talk about it. Manichima's coming to this, guys. If you hadn't heard, for the 3rd week in a row, Manichima's bringing a list. It's exactly the same as the last one we took. We're not going to talk about it because whatever. We already talked about it today. But I pulled out an Eldari list.
Turn 3.
Oh, savagery abounds, Mr. Pajama Pants. The first one I picked out was Mr. From John Hainstock, and this is an Eldari list that I actually really liked. Big fan here. All right, starts off with a battalion of Frozen Stars, which I think is a very good option now for Harlequins. Possibly, I think it's better than Soaring Spite for my taste. 2 Troop Masters. One of them is what you'd expect, being the Twilight Fang Master. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5-mans with fusion pistols and embraces. A couple of them, sorry, wait, 1, 2 of them with fusion pistols, 4 of them just 5-mans with caresses and a couple of embraces. Then he's got 2 units of 2 Haywire Cannon Skyweavers, and then 2 Star Weavers for the fusion boats to play around with. So not the 5-6 fusion boats we've been seeing in some places, because the rest of his points are in an outright attachment. This one is Expert Crafters, Masterful Shots from Craftword Eldar, Farseer with Guide and Doom, a Warlock Conclave with Quick and Restrain, and then he has 1, 2, 3 units of 3 Shining Spears. Ooh. And a single unit of Swooping Hawks. And then he's got 2 Night Spinners to round it out. And I got to say, this is possibly this is a phenomenally good list for this man.
I like this list. When you were going through the Harlequin part of it, I was like, man, I feel like it needs a few more bikes in there.
Yes.
And I was calling the Troop Master the Great Harlequin. That's why I'm like, I was stuck in the 90s when I was in a conversation before. But when you got to the Eldari part, I'm like, ooh, this is what is going to do it. Those Night Spinners, out of line of sight shooting, being able to get in some free wounds on things. Yeah, this is good.
It really comes together when you add in the Shining Spears. It really rounds it out nicely. It's not just Harlequins in boats. It's not just Harlequins on foot. It's Frozen Stars. So those 5-mans, all of a sudden, you soup them up with some CP, they start to be those little bombs that trade up. And exactly the same thing with the Shining Spears. Each one has Skilled Rider, which I believe is the extra invulnerable save. I can't remember. Is that what that is, Alan?
The Skilled Rider? Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So they become, all of a sudden, they actually become quite a nuisance to take care of. But what do you think about this one, man?
I don't know. Every time I look at one of these type of lists, and I've seen similar lists in the past, I do think I like the breakdown he has here with the Eldar. I think he did partner the Harlequins with the Eldar very nicely. I do like the mix there quite a bit. Not as much as I like some of Sean Naden's stuff, but I do like this one quite a bit. But every time I look at it, I just think, man, Noise Marines would be really good against this. And I feel like they would just pick all this up really, really, really fast.
They are a good answer for things. I mean,
I'm just saying. I don't know. I do worry about his delivery for some of the troop units. I know he has. You said he has 5, right? But I only heard 2 transports.
Only 2 transports.
So he's got some stuff walking. If he's doubling up, I don't know, how much room he has.
Well, those are your backfield things. He's got so much that moves forward. Like I love the spears and everything because everything is like, oops.
Paul, those spears are hiding until they can strike, and then after they strike, they're most likely going to die.
Oh yeah, but they're going to scoot up. They're going to be behind that whatever that middle rank of terrain is or something, whichever you're playing on. They're going to be hanging out in there. So everything is moving up. So you need a few walking folks just to kind of dirtle around in your backfield for when those objectives or secondaries are relevant.
I actually quite like 5-man troops as that unit that sits on an objective or a one that's just outside the deployment zone. Because with the advance and charge, people just forget that, they think, I'll tow onto this objective and I'm not in charge range. And like, sorry, bro, you're like in like 5-inch charge range for this unit that you can't see and you forgot was here. And so I like them for that thing. But I was wrong. They have 6 units of Harlequins, guys. 2 fusion units and 4 units that are probably going to be walking. So yeah, that is a few more than I'd prefer to see. But even then, like, I think that the Shining Spears make up for that shortfall. But you're right about the comparison with this and like a Sean Naden build. And I mean, it's really hard to compare anybody to his builds because literally only he makes those work. They don't work in anybody else's hands. But this is a good linear, what you see is what you get. It's going to perform pretty damn well Eldari list for my taste.
Well, if you just think about it this way, I like spending my points. If I'm going to spend points in a unit that I hope to stay in my backfield and hold an objective, I want it to be still efficient or try to make its points back while it sits in that backfield. So like Dark Reapers with an Exarch are making their points back even though they're in the backfield. A star, one of the heavy platforms for Eldar, the Eldar platforms, it could sit in the backfield and be shooting indirect all game long, scoring an objective. And no one wants to shoot at one of those platforms. Nobody. 0 people want to shoot at them.
Very bad value exchange.
Very terrible. Yeah. But now I'm spending 95, 100 points on a unit that can't do anything unless you get close enough. And to be honest, once you do kind of get close, and if you're not completely inept at playing the game, you'll just shoot them and they'll die. So, I mean, like the idea of like, I like when someone forgets that they're here. That doesn't happen for me very often. I don't know. Now, Adam, once you're 3 losses in an event and you're in the bottom tables, maybe it's happened more often. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I don't see that very much.
He's got all this vim and vinegar or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get Peter the Falcon to pull up your stats, mate. I'm going to put you to shame. All right. We have one more list to discuss here, and I really want to pull this one up because we haven't.
Let's do it, and then we'll get into the fight over Pedo.
We have literally never done a Tyranid list breakdown on this show, and I thought it was about damn time. And this is like a holdout for this archetype, and I wanted to talk about this from Jonathan.
He's coming back around, going around the horn. He's past the channel he wants to watch and come back around. He's going to get.
This is Jonathan Phipps. It's a battalion. Starts off with a custom hive fleet, adaptive exoskeleton, hypermobolic acceleration. No idea what that does. I'm assuming hyperbolic acceleration. They move more gooder or something. Adaptive exoskeleton. I think it's a 6-up invulnerable save is what I think it is. The Broodlord. He's got a Broodlord, a Neurothrope, another Neurothrope. Then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of 30 termagants. 180 for your eating pleasure. A single Lictor, a unit of 3 Venom Thropes to give a bunch of -1s. Then he's got a patrol detachment, this one of Kronos, another Neurothrope, that's the 3rd one, a unit of 10 Termagants, a unit of 10 Dermagants, that second unit has Devourers, another unit of 14 Termagants, because, I don't know, you had points, and then a unit of 6 Hive Guard, and that's the whole damn list.
Okay, the hypermetabolic acceleration, a unit with this adaptation, when it advances, you can re-roll the advance roll.
Correct. Paul, before Adam asks me what I think of this, what do you think there's a unit in the game that would really like to play against this? Is there a unit in the game that you think would have a good time? I don't know. I'm just curious if you know of one.
I mean, I think they make a lot of racket. I think they're called racket Astartes.
Yeah. They're called mute Marines. They're called silent Marines. Only nothing but base players.
I was totally anticipating Paul to drop Sanguinary Guard on me.
Sanguinary Guard. They do love to play against everything. But,
yeah, look, this is. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is a Noise Marine's like wet dream,
right?
Like this matchup. Yeah. but look, I just wanted to have this on because it does. Like Nids are getting no love at the moment. I'm like, holy crap! Someone's trying to make the Gaunt Carpet still a thing in this edition against all knowledge, all convention, and all reason.
Seriously, believe me, I don't want to make it sound like I was throwing shade. It's actually just funny to talk about it, and it's nice to see these kind of old school things resurface. And I will say that the game is very killy and has lots and lots of shots, but there still may not be enough to get through all these things in turn 1 or 2. And if you can get a lead, if you can get ahead on points, then you can coast the rest of the game.
Well, so I think about some interesting matchups. Like you think about John unit of OBSEC, the whole list, 1 unit of OBSEC. You know, this thing gets the jump on you. You can just not have enough time to get the game back on your terms. You don't have a huge amount of close combat. Like you don't have the ability to kill 60 termagants in combat in a turn. You can do 30 like sitting on your hands, but 60 with an invuln save is actually annoying, especially if they're -1 to shoot.
If you make a mistake, if you switch target priority, if you get you feel like you need to switch, you not burn one completely down and go to the next one, you've basically wasted all your turns, and this player is on you.
Now, the other thing I usually in past lists, you'd see 1 pocket aggressive unit. You'd see like 1 unit of Gene Stealers. Just play defense. You put like your meatiest unit goes into the line, and they just take it out. The 1 unit that will go in, like let's say they have 1 unit of 10 infiltrators that literally will pick up 6 termagants. You can send a unit of Kraken Stealers in, go solve that problem. It's interesting this one doesn't. He's just like literally tripled down. I should really call this guy, like, instead of Jonathan Phipps, I should call him Justin Timberlake, because he's trying so hard to bring sexy back, but it's just not.
He's got
there.
235 gaunts.
I like that joke, though, Adam. That was a good joke. I like it.
He's trying really hard, really hard.
I like the Hive Guard, though. The Hive Guard are good. That's kind of sick. He's kind of relying on them, I think, to take out that main unit.
So he's got a bunch of smites. He's got a decent smite factory with the 3 neurothreats that get the rerolls to smite and stuff. Rerolls to cast, I think, on the ones. But the Hive Guard is literally his only CP sync. He's going to sync every CP he's got into making those Hive Guard like crazy good every turn.
He's got 6 of them. He is not playing.
No, he's not playing. They're going to double shoot every turn. They're going to reroll 1s for standing still with Kronos. And you know what? Like, they actually will make you put your Noise Marines in reserve, wouldn't they?
They would. No, your Noise Marines have to be in a pod. Otherwise, the Devourer Hormagaun unit just kills them all.
Exactly.
I mean, but then when they die, they also kill everything too.
I know. It's so good. At least, but that's the crazy thing about Noise Marines. If we haven't talked about it, guys, you can have them on the table for 1 turn, and they get to shoot 3 times. And
I assure you, we have talked about it. We have.
Yeah. I'm sure you we have. We should just get snips. We're gonna have a compilation episode of just like all the the little 5-minute Noise Marine segments.
That's what we go on vacation. We'll play that hour plus of.
That brings us to the end of the coverage for today. Do you guys want to have a prediction of who's going to win Charity Hammer?
John Lennon.
What a surprise! I've got Lennon winning as well.
I'll go with Perry on this one.
Nice. I've got Lennon playing Danny McDevitt for the win in the final round.
That's true.
I've got Lennon overcoming that filth that Danny brought.
I'll take Danny. I'll take Danny.
Yeah,
that's an incredibly strong list.
We have the Broker's a Joke list versus the man whose literal year it is. Like, it's John Lennon's year right now.
I don't know, man. I think John Lennon, Sean Naden, and Brad are the 3 guys in the running. I think it could be all of their years. I think it's going to come down to LVO. I think they're all really close, so we'll see. It's unfortunate that Sean had to, I think what I heard was Sean kind of decided not to get the points from the Lone Star because of the misrepresentation of that rule, which never impacted any of his games. But I mean, that's the gentlemanly thing to do. But that does suck for him because he did earn that second place.
Let's jump to the Fuego Rapido and close this show out.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So the Fuego Rapidos, we give ourselves 2 minutes to run down a series of topics. Once the clock runs down to 0, we stop talking about it and move on to the next one.
Yep. No buts.
Yep. So that we're gonna, as soon as the clock starts, I'll read the first topic. What is the most undercosted unit? I'm gonna lead out with my own opinion on this one. The Skitarii Marshal.
Can we all say this?
We can. It can be a short discussion.
Right now for me, it's the Skitarii Ranger / Vanguard. I think is one worse than the Marshal. I can get with a single HQ unit, but when you get to take 100 of those guys at that undercosted value, that's them for me.
I'm going to round us out, make us a team here, and say anything with keyword Skitarii. Thank you.
Just staying on brand.
Fair enough. We can close this and now move on to the next one. Best part of going to 40K tournaments. Alan, let's start with you.
Yeah, I best part of going to a 40K event for me is definitely the dinner after first night, or the dinner after the event's over if it's a one day, and just hanging out with friends and catching up and seeing people, and what we can't do with COVID. So that's what I miss the most, more than anything, to be honest.
Adam, what you got?
I miss my mates. I miss my mates a lot. I
Yeah.
miss my mates terribly, and not being able to see them talk absolute garbage. Like I miss the crap talk. Like I was going to swear. I miss the just talking garbage with my mates, zoning out. Can't remember what we talked about, but somehow we talked for 6 hours, and I go home with a smile. That's what I miss.
I'm going to echo that, and this is one thing we probably talk about as much as Noise Marines, and that is the culture and the camaraderie at these events. And then when you're walking in there and you're in line and you're seeing people, you're looking down the line like, "Yo, man, remember that game?" Or "Yo, I ran into you in the hall last year." It's the best part of these things. You don't often remember the scores of every game, but you remember who you were with.
My next one, I'm going to double down and go for a second round because we've got some time on the clock.
We got 45 seconds.
Putting a unit, I've never so when I paint a model or paint a unit.
Oh yeah, that's great.
For an event and use it for the very first time. The first time I roll some dice for it, first time it gets me points or it pops off, it always feels sick.
You know what I used to do a long time ago, since we have more time, Adam? If I had a veteran sergeant, like do really well in combat, like do something unstatistical and like beat someone bad, or like a grot, I would build a banner for them for their next game. I'd make a little banner and I'd put the name of the person they killed or what they did, and I'd come to the next event with that banner on. I'd remind them, be like, "Hey, Jason, look, it's got a banner for when you killed your war boss."
I love that stuff. That's so.
And
good.
This is specific to Chicago, Portillo's.
Yeah,
it's the best part of the thing.
Oh, they're expanding now. They're expanding.
Place you wish you had a 40K, or that we wish had a 40K event.
Adam, we start with a big one.
Yeah, like a big old tournament. You could go there, you travel to, and then play 40K.
Oh, I have so many options. Go to Alan. Let me have a think.
Yeah, this one's kind of tough. I would say for me, probably Japan. I'd love to go to Japan.
Yeah,
I'd love to play in a 40K tournament in Japan. I've been to a lot of countries playing 40K, but Japan is not one of them. So I'd like to go there.
I'd like to do. I don't know if this is place specific or whatever, but like someplace on the on the top of a mountain. Maybe not on the top. At least you're in the mountain range. See some cool tropical mountains with waterfalls and that stuff around it. That would be awesome to play 40K in some place like that.
You would have loved the boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They do it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one. And this is a big wish list. So there is already Cruise Hammer.
I was gonna say Mars.
I want Cruise League. I want a 1 month cruise, like down the whole coastline of some awesome country, and you have it's a league. Like you play like a game or two, like every day or second day, and like yeah. I'm that thirsty.
It's where you can't not get away from it. You're gonna make up for all the lost time.
Just me and every other player who wants to be there with my whole.
So Australian.
Shut up. It is.
Oh, okay, we're going to that. So the best 40K event experience you've ever had. This is tough. This is so especially doing as long
at an event and got a lot of handshakes afterwards. One of the first competitive event I ever went to, I got best new player. And then everyone was just stoked. Just seemed like I just got enveloped in the community. Everyone wanted to shake my hand and say, "G'day, congratulations, great to meet you, welcome to the community." And I suppose that was the best bit, because I just went like from a guy who just rocked up to have a go to being part of in like an instant.
Yeah, for me, it's probably War Games 2009. Before Austin became what it is now, Austin, Texas, probably one of the coolest cities ever that I never got a chance to live in. And now it's totally different. It's not the same city as it was back then. And that War Games Con specifically was amazing because there was just great people there. Nick Rose, Ben Moley, Mitch Tucker, Tony Malave. We all went out, had a good time on 6th Street, and had a good time at the event as well. And it was just a really good group, both at the event and after. So that was my favorite event. That's what kind of sealed it for me for 40K.
When I was meeting new people, and then you continue to interact with them, like I was talking about, over the years, and you share these stories and just this collection of things and experiences that you then get to relive a little bit of every time you see them again at the next one. It's like there is a ton of tournament players, But there's only so many of us, you know. And then as we do this for the years, you get to run into the same people in different parts of the country, and knit all that fabric together. I love it. Who was your 40K hero? This is an interesting one.
Ooh, that's actually hard to answer.
It is. Ben Molly.
Ben Molly? Okay. Why? What is it about him?
The dude's just awesome. I don't know, man.
He's amazing.
Everyone that knows me pretty well says I have a man crush on Ben Molly. So it's probably true. He's just a really cool dude. I don't know if you ever met like a very humble, down to earth guy who's secretly a genius but never actually like says it or makes you think that he thinks that. And it's just really cool. Shares things with people, like tries to help everyone he meets, like just a genuine dude, and just a really cool guy to be around. Plus, we like some of the same stuff, well, most of the same stuff. So when I was coming up, he was the guy winning all the tournaments. He was like the big name in 40K when I was younger, much younger. And I was trying to be more like him. So that'd be my pick.
Brilliant. Paul, you want to go? I'm still.
Yes. No, it's such a tough question. I just met some people that have taught me things that may have really almost like nothing really to do with the game, but but everything to do at the same time. Folks like John Wolf, from the War Games. I mean, these met people that I gamed with even at the local club level, people that helped me cut my teeth in the 40K competitive scene and got me better. The people that blew up my Rhino on the practice game before the first grand tournament I went to, I'm like, you know what? Everybody's getting jump packs. No more Rhinos in this whole stupid army. They've taught me things, and those are the people that I consider like real heroes to me, mentors, in that sense of it, that definition.
John Wolf's a great guy too. Good mention.
I've got two: Joshua Diffie and Paul Murphy are my two kind of 40K heroes. Paul Murphy, because
this is so sweet.
I kind of left it to the end, so I didn't have much time to sop up. Yeah, cool, easy, done.
Hey, look, we're out of time. We're out of time on that one.
No, we're not.
How good is Age of Sigmar 3rd edition?
I'll let you guys go first.
I have no idea. I hear it's good. I hear it's very nice. I hear I should play it, but I haven't yet, so I don't know.
So hear people talk about the rules. They get to refer to like clauses like, well, if you just go to 10.1.2.3 or whatever, you're going to get the exact answer that you want. And they have amazing models. So what's not to like? Decent. What I can tell is good rules, great models.
The models, like literally the disparity in how good every single AOS model is to how kind of absolute Dunstown, 20 years old, like Fire Dragon-esque, 40K models are now.
We're going to go over time on this one because I want Alan to be able to properly educate us on this.
I mean, I just got the book because speak of the devil, I had a call with Ben Molly when I had my daughter, and he mentioned that AOS was really good. So I picked up the new book and I started reading it because I have plenty of time, and it's amazing. It's really, really good. I love the changes to the rules. I love what they've done with monsters. It's kind of hard to explain unless you're like in the game, but the new 3.0 rule book.
You got 40 seconds. Let's go.
Well, the new 3.0 rule book is amazing. I recommend everyone who's into wargaming at all, like go pick it up and read it at least and see if you want to play it. I think it's really, really good. I think it's very clear that Games Workshop has two teams that are completely independent, one running AOS and one running 40K, because this book is amazing. It is published really well. All of the little tabs are really well. Like the app is good. Everything that I have complaints about on one side is good on the other side. I just wish more people in my area played AOS. That's the only problem I have. But if we get the word out, maybe more people will play, and then we won't have that problem.
We'll get you on a podcast talking about Age of Sigmar 3. I want to know more about it as well. I like this enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's awesome.
My curiosity, man. Like, cause all when I see a range of models that I want to paint, all I need is like someone to suit me up for the game, and then someone to play against. And I'm
tiniest bit of encouragement to get
very,
those
very good, very, very good game, very balanced game. You'll have fun. That's it.
Wonderful.
Oh, well, if you watched us live, thanks for tuning in. I don't think we had the chat going this particular time, but you can leave some comments. So if you are on YouTube and there's a place to leave a comment and you want to interact with us or tell us how wrong we are or tell us how wrong we got the last show's tournaments with calling the winner, We want to hear about that because I think that's interesting because, some of this we're just we're not guessing, we're looking at the data and seeing how it plays out. But hey, we can be wrong, and this is a dice game. If you are listening to us in one of the podcast aggregators, please leave us 5-star reviews. That is an absolute zero cost way to interact with the show, and it helps other people find us. And so they can also at one point in time tell us how wrong that we are.
Love your work, gentlemen.
Thank y'all very much. We'll see y'all next week.
Good night.